Today's aim is that students will be able to simplify expressions and formulas with rational numbers by applying the order of operations. The order of operations is a rule that dictates the order in which operations are performed when solving an expression. Without the order of operations, the same expression could yield multiple different simplified versions. When simplifying exponents, the base is multiplied by itself as many times as dictated by the exponent. A negative symbol next to the base, unless grouped by a parentheses, is not part of the base. Some key verbs. Evaluate means to simplify an expression. Substitute means to replace a variable with a numerical value. And an expression is a mathematical phrase that contains numbers, variables, and operators. Key points. The order of operations, or we can remember this as PEMDAS. P stands for parentheses or other grouping symbols like absolute value bars. E stands for exponents. Multiply and divide, they happen at the same time, so we write them next to each other. From left to right. And add and subtract happens again at the same time from left to right. So let's look at a few examples. Number one, simplify the two expressions. -3/4. The -3 here is our base, and the 4 is the exponent. This is -3 to the 4th power. So we'll write this out as -3 times -3 times -3 times -3. Remember, there's an invisible multiplication in between the parentheses. So if we work this out, -3 times -3 gives us +9 times -3 times -3. 9 times -3 gives us -27 times -3. Again, we're working from left to right. And finally, -27 times -3 gives us 81. Now, this one over here looks like it might be the same as this, except that it does not have the negative inside the parentheses. So what this actually is -1 times 3 to the 4th power. This negative is not part of the base. It's actually an invisible -1 being multiplied by the 3 to the 4th power. So this would read -1 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So there's 4 3's, but they're not negative because the -1 has already been taken care of here. So if we work this out, -1 times 3 is -3 times 3 times 3 times 3. -3 times 3 is -9 times 3 times 3. -9 times 3 is -27 times 3 gives you -81. 81 is not the same as -81. These are not the same. Let's look at the second example. Again, we're going to use our order of operations, so I'm going to write down our PEMDAS over here to the side so we don't forget. First are parentheses or other grouping symbols. We don't have any parentheses here, but we have absolute value. 5 minus 9, the absolute value, we're going to do that first. So the absolute value, 5 minus 9 is -4. That's the same as 5 plus a -9, which is -4, minus 3 squared plus 12. So let's go ahead and figure this out. The absolute value of -4 is just +4 minus 3 squared plus 12. Now we're ready for our exponents. We have 4 minus 3 squared. 3 squared is the same as 3 times 3, which is just 9, plus 12. I don't have any multiplication or division, and I'm ready to add and subtract. So I start on the left and work my way to the right. So I add and subtract from left to right. 4 minus 9. That's the same as 4 plus a -9, which is -5. Bring down my plus 12. -5 plus 12 is +7. I circle my final answer. It's very important that we go step by step. Let's look at one more example. Example number 3. In order to convert between Celsius and Fahrenheit, you use the formula C equals 5/9 times F minus 32. If the temperature outside is 5 degrees Fahrenheit, what is the temperature in degrees Celsius? Again, first thing I always do is cube my problem when I have a word problem. So I'm going to circle all my numbers, my formulas, and the units to go with them. I'm going to underline some key words like convert. And I'm going to box my question. What is the temperature in degrees Celsius? So I know that in this case, the Fahrenheit, the F, is 5. So I'm going to plug 5 in. I'm going to substitute 5 for where the F is. So I'm going to rewrite this as C equals 5/9. Instead of the F, I'm going to take the F out and put in the 5 minus 32. Now I'm ready to use my order of operations to find out what the degrees Celsius would be. So then I have C equals, I'm going to do parentheses first because that's my order of operations. If I write it over here to the side, parentheses first, so 5/9, and then I'm going to do 5 minus 32. I want to rewrite that as 5 plus a negative 32. And if we work that out, we would end up with negative 27. You can do that over here to the side because they have different signs. You know you're going to subtract. 32 minus 5, if you borrow 1, be 7. And bring down your 2. You know it's going to be negative because 32 is larger. We have negative 27. Now we're ready to multiply 5/9 times negative 27. When I'm multiplying fractions, I want to make sure both of them are fractions. So I'm going to put an invisible 1 here. So negative 27 over an invisible 1. And multiply straight across. 5 times negative 27. I better do that over here to the side. I know my answer will be negative because they're different signs. 7 times 5 is 35. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 3 is 30. So I have 135 divided by 9 times 1, which is 9. And then I'm going to divide. I have the numerator is larger, so I put that underneath. The numerator goes inside my house, 9 goes on top. 9 goes into 13 one time. 1 times 9 is 9. 13 minus 9 is 4. Bring down my 5. 9 goes into 45. 5 times 9 is 45. And we have no more remainder. My answer is simply 15 degrees Celsius. Don't forget your units. Now it's time for you to practice.